Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, October 3rd. We are in a new month. We closed out September with a whole hot mess. So if we look at the weekly candles, you can see 3 of the last 4 weeks were red candles. This is what kind of concerned me here. We talked a little bit about it on Friday, is that weekly close below the 200 moving average. The 200 moving average is coming in here right about 358. Sorry, 358.20 area. It says 358.16, but on the moving with this morning's action it says 358.20. We are a little bit green here as we head into the session. You can see that down here. We are pushing just a little bit green. A lot of back and forth. So a few things hit the wires in the overnight and early morning session here. One is Credit Suisse. I guess last week at some point they said that they were going to do a capital raise, and that really started to cause some concern. They dropped down to their new low, not just for the year, but in general. Like they really lost their market share, and that was starting to spur some questions. Are they about to have a Lehman moment? Now, if you're not familiar with Lehman Brothers, I will suggest you go back and look at the financial crisis to see what kicked that off. All right, but they're coming back out. There's a lot of defense coming back out and saying, no, that's not the case. A lot of back and forth. This does give the bears something to hold on to and run with. The other story that came out is OPEC. OPEC is looking to make some pretty big production cuts. Now, this was after Biden went to them and said, hey, can you basically help us out, raise your output, especially as we go into winter. And they made a slight cut last time, but they're looking at making some larger cuts. Of course, less supply with rising demand means that energy will likely increase in price. So that will also affect our prices at the pump, which does not help inflation. You see how this all kind of rolls together. Everything's like this great big fabric, and if you pull on it in one little area, it's going to be felt across that fabric. So think of the market as this great big, everything's intertwined somehow. So anyway, we have that, and then little Bitcoin news. It is down a little bit, but we saw, and this is just dominating the headlines now. Apparently, Kim Kardashian was sanctioned by the SEC, and she settled and paid a $1.2 million fine. Not sure. I guess my opinion on it doesn't really matter, but that's what's dominating the news here as of right now. The Dow is increasing just a little bit as I'm watching the futures kind of roll in. But okay, so anyway, let's get back to this. We're looking at the SPY. We want this to come back up and move its way back up above the 200 MA here, definitely on the weekly. We know that being below the 200, obviously we did it back here. This was the pandemic low. Very painful, and well, you know what? Come back here. Look at this. See, this was the pandemic move measured out, and we have crept just a bit below that. We'll see if we recapture this area right off of here. I'm going to put this little line in here and make it a red line so I remember what it is. I'm going to make it orange because orange will kind of remind me what it is. There we go. All right, that is the bottom of that pandemic move. We filled the gap. We do have a gap below here. This is sitting at the 338. That's like 338 somewhere, something right in that area. So keep that in mind that we do have that gap down there. Okay, let's pop back over here to the daily as we talked about. So this would be that that pandemic move. This was also a gap. We had a gap right in here that we did fill. We have this one up. We have the one below. We actually have these two up here. So we'll see. Did we put in lows? Is this going to be our low and us reverse from here? We don't know as of now, right? This bear flag, right? Pretty easy to see. Bear flag. This a little muddier because we moved sideways here for a few days before taking that spill. And we were kind of hanging out in here for quite a while during Friday, and then, the bottom fell out here. we're going to keep a really close eye and see, can we move back up above this 359.50 area is what I would be looking at. All right, that being said, we are seeing green this morning. I'd be very cautious. I would not be a big bull on this. Tesla reported deliveries and missed a bit, and they said their big challenge was transportation, trying to get these vehicles to where they are supposed to be. They are down about 5-6% here in the pre-market. I did try a day trade on that on Friday. It did not work out. Glad we didn't hold it. I went ahead and closed it out, but they do have earnings coming up here in the not too distant future, up on the 19th. All right, so there you go. That's Tesla. And Apple is trading below 140. It is sitting at 138.33, so just a smidgen above the close that we had on Friday. What a messy looking chart. There's a little bit of support here where we close, but I would actually say somewhere around 137.20 is probably a little bit better support area if it goes down and taps that and comes back to the top side. All right, seeing some nice moves in energy. Lilly and BIIB, both. So Biogen, this soared on Alzheimer drug news. They had a really good results in their last clinical, and they gave a good portion of that back, but still holding an awfully big portion of this gap. I like the look in BIIB and in LLY. Like both of these. So Lilly, a lot of the drug makers moved with that news in Biogen. However, Lilly also has an Alzheimer's treatment coming out, and it is really being touted as even being better than the Biogen one. Really solid results, so keep an eye on this. But looking at this, looks like a bull flag setup. We'll see if we get that look in it today. All right, Nike missed and they got downgraded, so looking for a downside trade in Nike, putting that on the bear list. Also putting Meta on the bearish setup list. Not setting any specific trades up, as I'm just looking for day trades, but can't seem to get out of this range. Really, you know, I feel that Zuckerberg is kind of scattered. We saw Sheryl Sandberg depart last week, and she'd been with him since the beginning. So we will, you know, watch. They need to have honestly, probably just a new CEO or a new board that would come in and actually advise them. But he's very focused away from Facebook and on Metaverse. You know, it just doesn't seem to really be panning out at the moment for them. Lack of capitalization, monetization. So, well, keep an eye on Meta, but I like this to the downside. I also like Adobe to the downside. They missed pretty big on earnings and can't seem to get any footing. Constant closed window candles here, so looking to them for a day trade to the downside. However, Twitter looking for this for a day trade to the upside. Long consolidation here, nice little walk up in some candles, and we are inching closer. I think it's the 7th or 9th. There are depositions coming up, so again, just day trades in these. And Netflix in this nice consolidation, so watching for a breakout in here to see which way is this going to break. It has been in a tight range in between these two Fibonacci lines for so long. I mean, we're going all the way back to July, so keep an eye on Netflix as those moving averages are really squeezed together. And I like XOM here today, again on the energy play. This looks like a little bull flag setup, so we'll see if this does pan out. We have a nice little gap to the top side. This is an inside candle. We would take it on the break to the top side of this inside candle, but be cautious because energy has not been holding its gains very well. But I like this for a long. If it breaks to the downside, that's okay too. We can take it to the downside. Probably some support sitting right around 86.50 in XOM. Okay, that is it for me here this morning. If you have any questions, reach out. Heather C. at GivingTreeTrading.com.